Well, good afternoon, DEC members, and happy last Monday in February. Yay. Welcome to the 16th annual meeting with our Detroit Red Wings. I'm Steve Gregorian, President and CEO of the Detroit Economic Club, and it's a pleasure to have you with us today. A couple of quick announcements before we get started. We always want to take a brief moment to thank the terrific DEC sponsors for their continued support of our mission, and you're seeing these companies on your screen. The month of March at the DEC has something for everybody. So be sure to get your tickets for some upcoming events and watch for some more fun announcements soon. Next week, March 2nd, we'll have a late afternoon networking session where our speaker from PNC Bank Wealth Management will leave you with some investing ideas. March 4th, we'll be joined by Frank Figluzzi, who you see often on the cable news networks discussing national security matters. And he's got a new book out called The FBI Way, Inside the Bureau's Code of Excellence. And if you saw your email this morning, we were thrilled to announce Sheryl Sandberg from Facebook will join us on March 16th. And finally, you already know how important it is to the DEC that high school and college students are included. And today we want to welcome students from Schoolcraft College, University of Windsor, and a ton of Southeast Michigan high schools, too many to name, so welcome to all of you students. And I do want to take a moment and thank a couple of organizations for making this day possible. It's never, ever lost on us what a privilege and honor it is to host the Red Wings each and every year. I'm not sure I've heard of another NHL team that does something as cool as this, so I want to thank Chris Ilitch and the Ilitch organization and the Red Wings management for this incredible opportunity. In fact, our very last in-person event before COVID was with the Red Wings last February. And I did check with the NHL office, and when this is all over, we're going to give COVID a lifetime ban. So we can't wait for our 17th annual meeting with the Red Wings next year, hopefully in person. So let's get started. We're so appreciative our guests are with us today. They really need no introduction, so I'll keep it short. Steve Yzerman is clearly at the top of the list of all-time Red Wings and NHL greats and is a member of the NHL Hall of Fame. In his second year, we're thrilled he's back in Detroit as Executive VP and General Manager. Coach Blashill is in his fifth season as head coach of the Red Wings and has been a model of class and perseverance, and we're thrilled he took the time today as well. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, we're blessed to have some premier TV and radio announcers in this town, and I put Ken Daniels right there at the top of the list. So before I turn it over to Ken, a final note from me. It would have been really easy for our guests today to decline our invitation this year for obvious reasons. So thank you a million times to Steve, Coach, and Ken. And now, Ken, please take it away.
Anytime I can sit in my home office and talk to somebody some way is great. So I would never decline that. Thank you, Steve. And knowing this past Saturday that this annual event was coming up, I really even had a stronger rooting interest for the Red Wings to win, because I know it's always better to follow that today with a win. So, Jeff, I'm going to start with you and then Steve. And I guess the first question is, thinking with divisional play, and we're playing each team in our division 8 times, do games have a tendency around the league to get away from you? Like yesterday, I'm watching the Washington game and I'm saying, boy, who knew that Tom Wilson had as many goals as Alexander Ovechkin? Some things surprise you. Do you find when you're only playing one division that the rest of the league, you got to work harder to keep track? Jeff.
Well, thanks, Ken. I mean, I would say, it's been interesting. It's definitely a different year, included when we're on the road. We've been gone for further stretches, and when we are on the road, we don't do much. We can't do anything really outside of the hotel. So the one thing that's kept, I would say, me involved in the rest of the league outside of our division is the fact that we've watched so many hockey games on the road. And that's kind of what we do as a coaching staff, is between breaking down our own film, practicing on those nights in between games where you're generally watching a number of different games in the big meeting room that's provided in most of the hotels. So that's, I guess, kept us alert to the rest of the league. You certainly get in your own world a bit, and we've paid closest attention to our division opponents. We see them so often, though, that when other games are on, we have chosen to watch other games around the league. So I haven't seen much of the West. That's the one division I haven't seen much of. I've watched the Canadian division in the East, but it is a different times for sure.
Yeah, stayed up last night, watched Winnipeg Van. Steve, obviously you've got to keep up with the whole league. Is it tougher this year in any way?
Yeah, try. It is in that we're playing for the simple reason we're playing more games over a shorter period of time. So you don't have as many off nights to go, even to go literally go to drive to Columbus to watch a game or stay that extra day on the road to catch a game. We're playing a lot, and you obviously I want to watch our team play. But yeah, so you do kind of, we want to focus on our team. We try to watch our opponents in our division, who we're going to play next. But part of the job is also scouting, whether it be a potential trade candidate or free agents for next year. You got to watch the rest of the league. But the simple fact that when our team is on, we're watching them, not other teams, makes it a bit of a challenge. And then I don't know about you, Ken, or if it's just me, but those late games are tough to stay up for. I literally, I have a hard time staying awake through the late game, and not watching it just to watch it. You're trying to watch it with a purpose and watch specific players. So it has been a little bit more difficult. Part of that is I'll blame it on COVID, and part of that is I'll blame it that I'm not a kid anymore.
Yeah, and I'm a little older than you, so it's tough for me too. Can you see going forward, Steve, that this type of schedule stays where you're going into a city and playing maybe back to back or one day off in between for costs, et cetera?
Well, potentially. I know the league tried it a few years ago where, just for 1 year, and it wasn't real popular, but going into a city and playing multiple games, much like a baseball schedule. I do kind of like it. I think there is some merit to it. I think cost wise, less travel. I do like being in one city, playing the same team a couple of times. I think that's good. In order to do that, though, I think we would really have to change the schedule again, or change the matrix as far as who we're playing and how often we're playing. I don't know that it is an ideal thing if we're, even with divisional play, if you're just going to stay and play that team twice under the old system, that's the only time you're going to be in town. So I think it would have to be rethought, but out of it all, I don't mind, parking in a city, playing a couple games. I think it's good travel wise. I think it's better for the players as far as their energy. And then I think you do save some money with it. And I think if you go to more of even a more restricted divisional format to the schedule, you will create a lot more buzz when Detroit's in Chicago and playing them a lot, and they're there for a few days, and good things happen in the first game. It builds some interest for the next game.
I'm with you. Those guys up in Canada, they're going, forget the US. We'll just keep playing one another. That's all we want. We're Canadian up here, right?
Yeah, well, I think they loved that for the first month. I think now they're like, okay, I've seen enough of this team. I've seen enough of that team. So I think there is a balance in there somewhere, but in order to make it work, we would, I don't think everybody's going to be able to, you're going to have everybody playing all 32 teams when Seattle's in. It won't work if you do it that way. And there's an argument to be made for it. It just, as far as scheduling, the league, we've talked, as a league, the league themselves at league meetings, we've talked about different ways of what's the best divisional play scheduling, you name it. And we've changed it numerous times over probably the last 20 years for sure. I don't know. There's never going to be a perfect way to it. And we've tried and experimented. And this year it's forced us to do things differently. And, maybe we take some of what's good of it and out of it and use it going forward.
Jeff, what's it like for you going in, playing the same team, same city, being there?
Well, I like it actually, Ken. I've enjoyed it. This would be similar to, at times, not necessarily the same in the American League, although you'd play the same team a couple of times, and certainly in college we'd play the same team back to back. I think there's makes the games very competitive. The second game is very, very competitive, depending who won the first game. I think when we moved from the West to the East, what I found and what a number of the players found is that we ended up with a lot of shorter trips where we were, and you would know this too, Ken, and Steve, where you were back and forth lots, and you end up, getting home into your bed at 3 a.m. on a lot of nights. And what this format has done is we've had a little bit longer trips, similar to when we were in the West, and you spend a little bit longer time on the road, but it's less of back and forth in terms of the travel, and less of those nights where you're getting in at 3 a.m. So I think it has allowed greater energy for the players. I actually really like it if, to Steve's point, if it works within the matrix of the schedule.
You said, Jeff, you didn't want to have the compete get away from this group. And fair to say, outside maybe 3 games, 4 games, are you pretty happy with the way this team's competed this year?
Yeah, no, overall been pretty pleased with it. I think we have to be an extremely competitive team every night to put ourselves in position to win hockey games. And we're not a team that can go out and just skill our way to a win. There's not lots of those teams in the league, and it doesn't happen much. But we're not going to be a team that can go out, not play our best, and still score 4 or 5 goals just because that's the way it goes. We're going to have to be a team that competes every single night to put ourselves in the position to win the hockey game. And I think we've been in that position a lot. We haven't won as many as we've wanted, but I think our compete has allowed us to be in that position. And it's something that's paramount for us to have success. But the reality is it's something that's paramount for any really good team to be really good. And ultimately what we want to build here is build to being a great team. And to do that, you have to learn to compete every single night.
And Steve, this team got off to a terrific start, and then COVID hit. What did that tell you about the group or depth in the National Hockey League that you know all too well you need lots?
Yeah, well, our first 4 games, I thought we played pretty well. I think we got a split in those 2, and then right away we lost. Over the course of a week, we lost 5 players, and we continued to pull. The decision was made to keep playing through it. Unfortunately, we lost every single game, and these were key players to us. So. It's difficult to win with a healthy squad in the position we're in. With a healthy squad, it's a challenge. So we missed a lot of key guys, and we paid for it. But going back to your last question to Jeff, like since the first game in Tampa, we've got to be generally pleased with the effort, the competitiveness, the way we're playing, apart from the Florida game too. But our guys are playing hard. They're working at it. We're in a lot of close games, which is a positive. And we played a close game on Saturday night, and we won it. And we figured out a way to win. We didn't self-destruct. We played disciplined. We played really hard. And I was very, very encouraged by that. And for the most part, we all get emotional. It's game to game. You win, you're happy. You lose, you're happy or unhappy. Depending on the last performance. But overall, where we've been for the last month since we've got our guys back healthy, I see a lot of positive things. Not necessarily showing up on goals and assists and wins and losses, but a lot of things we're doing have been a significant step in the right direction. And it's based about playing hard and being competitive and being a more difficult team to play against.
In these times we're in, Jeff, life at home, life on the road, are you tired of having a swab tickle the back of your brain every friggin' day? And are the players tired of it too? I know it's a miracle we're playing, but congrats to you all for doing this. How tough is it?
Well, I'm just glad we're not doing the one that's all the way up there. I think we had one of those. I don't know if I could do that every single day. That's something else for those that have had to do that one. We get the kind of the medium one, I guess. And I would just say, Ken, like you and I talked through the time that we were off, whatever, 10 or 11 months. And you and I had a number of conversations, and, we all wanted to work. And I think at that point we would have said we'd do anything to work, including getting our nose swabbed every day. And that's the way it's worked out. The only downside, I wish on our days off that we didn't have to come down. That would be the only thing. Other than that, I would do anything to work right now, and to be able to compete and go out and play and coach these games. It's really insignificant. So I'm glad we're not doing the deep dive, and overall, I'm just glad we're playing.
Steve, where do you fit into that? Because I know your scouts aren't getting tested. They're in a different group. So you got to have virtual meetings, I guess, with them and not face to face. But where are you in the testing, Steve, and traveling with the team? Same group?
Yeah, I'm kind of in between, actually. If I want to be around the team, if I want it on a daily basis, I have to have a test every day. If I miss a day, which has happened, if I've gone to a game somewhere or done something different, I need to have a test 24 hours prior to coming in. So, and then test it every day. If I'm on the road with the team and I want to travel on the plane, if I want to stay at the team hotel and go into the locker room, I have to follow their testing protocols. So, so I'm a blend of both, actually. And it's not so bad. And if I do leave the kind of the bubble, so to speak, then I'm required to kind of do a semi-quarantine and tested throughout that. So, you know, make it work. It's not the end of the world, but I do agree for Jeff and the players in particular. You know, you get home from Nashville at whatever 2:30 in the morning, and we have to, you know, the guys have to drive all downtown and just to get strictly to get a test. And it's really a day that they should be sleeping in and just staying at home. You got to drive downtown, so it isn't the end of the world. It's a bit of an inconvenience for everybody, but all in all, it's what we got to do to play. And the guy that I you know, Jeff's around them every day, but the players have been really good as far as just it is what it is. Let's get it done, and not complaining and not making any excuses and not looking to shirk their responsibility in any way.
So actually, guys who've had COVID, like Robbie Fabry and those guys, they're on a 90-day. They don't have to get tested. They're actually okay. It was rough going through it, but you're actually benefit now. You don't have to go through.
Well, they don't have to test. Yeah, that's
right.
the benefits of it. They don't have to test, but they have to follow all the other protocols. It's not like they have a hall pass and can go and whoop it up or anything like that. They have to, apart from testing, they have to follow everything else.
All right, let me ask you this then, and this is out of the box question, but the trade deadline is April 12th. So do you believe that managers around the league are looking to add a player? Might someone who's had COVID be a benefit to them?
Yeah.
You're not going to lose them.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure that if it becomes two players the exact same and the deal's the exact same and one's had it, one hasn't, maybe they go that way. I don't know. It's a good question. We'll find out, I guess, see how teams approach it. But I think at the deadline, they're going to try to go after what helps them the most. But, you know, in the back of your mind, it certainly is something to consider, I guess. But I really don't think it'll be a deciding factor one way or the other.
Do you think it'll be a busy deadline this year with everything that's going on in finances?
You know what? I wish I could give you a good answer. I don't really know. I think, you know, trying to win the Stanley Cup, it matters. It mattered last year when the teams played in September, and with fans in the building, without fans in the building, revenues being what they are, it's a chance to win the cup, and everybody's going to get that opportunity, or the teams that get that opportunity are going to do everything they can, I think. So they'll figure out the finances of it. So I don't think it'll change really from that aspect. I think teams that are going for it will do what they need to do to give themselves the best chance.
Got a couple of minutes left here before I turn it back to the other Steve. An update on the prospects. I heard Lucas Raymond had got hurt over in Sweden. Do you have any updates or who's going well, and Mo Seider, et cetera?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, Lucas, you know, it's his arm, elbow. You kind of re-injured an old injury from like 4 years ago. I think that didn't really heal properly. So I think he's going to have a procedure done. I think it's, I don't want to say it's a minor procedure, but he's going to have a procedure done that will keep him out for maybe up to 8 weeks. But in the long run, it's not that big of a deal. I expect it to heal and be fine and not be an issue. But yeah, it looks like he's going to have a procedure on his arm, and it'll keep him out for potentially 8 weeks. In the long run, I don't think it's a concern for us.
And Mo Seider?
He missed a couple of weeks. I don't know if you saw it. He fell into the boards pretty heavily. Nothing significant. Just you know, he bruised his shoulder really. He's back playing. I think he played last week, and he's had a great year. He's playing in Rogala in Sweden, doing well back. He's on a good team. I think they're still in first place, and you know, their seasons, they have been pushed back a little bit, but expect him and on the team he's on to probably have a good playoff run. But he's had a good year, and we're really pleased with how he's developed over there.
Awesome. Jeff, Tyler Bertuzzi, update?
You know, it's just a day-to-day thing that can last longer based on you know, how he feels. He's had days where it's felt better and days where it hasn't as much. So I don't have a good update, Ken. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things that we're just going to have to be patient and you know, when he's healthy enough to get back at it, he's going to get back at it. And for right now, he won't be in the lineup tomorrow night. And that's, you know how this is, especially this season. You just don't know day to day, and wouldn't feel real comfortable commenting any further than that because I just don't know.
Okay, one last one for Steve before I turn it over to the other Steve, and maybe the most important. Will we see a change, do you think, to the lottery structure, and what's going on with the draft?
I'm not sure. I believe the league and the Players Association are having some discussions on the draft as far as, are we going to hold it on time? Are we going to push it back to a later date? That's all I know. The league is kept pretty quiet about it. And again, I just kind of from reading on the internet, I've heard they've had some discussion. So I think that's a debate. What the options are, just going ahead with it as normal in June, or pushing it back to a later date. Which date? Even a year later or midway through the season. Those are the things I believe that are being contemplated. I don't know if any of that will happen. And as far as the draft lottery, itself, again, my understanding is the league is looking at different options, taking things into considerations, and potentially will present something to the league, the teams at some point. But again, that's they've been quiet about it. And I think the single biggest reason they've been quiet about it is they've been so focused on a daily basis with all that, just running the league, between teams getting through, teams having virus outbreaks and rescheduling games due to that, rescheduling Dallas's games due to the weather, the issues they had with the outdoor game, and that they're busy with a lot of things. And so I expect there to be some tweaks to the lottery. To what extent, I really don't know yet. They haven't shared that with us. And like I said, I think there's some discussion on the draft. I can't tell you if it's going to be held on time or be pushed back. I would hope they push it back. And give us a chance to watch these kids and give these kids a chance to play and put their best foot forward leading up to their draft. So what ends up being done, I'm not sure.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks to you both. And you have more questions to come. Steve, back to you.
Ken, so great to always have you part of this event. So thank you.
Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you.
So we've got in our remaining few minutes, we have some questions for Coach and Steve that were emailed to us from the people on this Zoom. So I'll start with a question for Coach, and this comes from PEC member Matt G. And he says, Coach, I've heard you say frustration is a wasted emotion. How do you avoid it when so many times this season your teams are so close to turning the corner in games?
Yeah, I guess I'd start by, explaining what I mean by that. Like, frustration certainly happens to all of us. We all have moments of frustration, and we're certainly not immune to that as a staff or as players after, some types of games where you end up like that. But you really gain nothing from being frustrated. The point that we're trying to do is get better here every day. And what happened yesterday, all you can do with that is simply learn from it, learn from the good and learn from the bad. You can't go back and change that. And to let frustration affect you today for what happened yesterday is a total waste of time. And so how do you avoid it? I really think it's your mindset. Number one, I think from my perspective, it's making sure our players understand that we're going to learn from yesterday. And certainly we teach them from game film and things like that, but we're moving on and we're getting better here today. And it's as simple as a mindset to me, in a constant reminder that's what our direction is. And we want to take as many steps in the right direction as possible. You don't do great things with one big giant leap. You do them with a bunch of little steps, and a little steps in the right direction is few of them in the wrong direction. And so that's all we're trying to do every day here. And it's not cliche-ish, it's reality. You don't gain anything from frustration at all, unless let's move forward and get better.
You mentioned little steps. I'll go to a question for Steve. This is from Wingnut Chris K. Steve, do you feel like the team is making progress at the rate that you would have expected, both offensively and defensively?
I don't really have a rate of progress that I expect. I watch, our our team collectively, and I watch individuals, and you watch the veteran players, you watch the kids that are, like Philip Zadina or a Philip Aronic or even Dylan Larkin, who's only 24 years old. I'm watching them, see, like, are the older guys, do they still, whether they're in the last year of their contract, and I'm debating, do we want to re-sign them? Is it a young player? Is he better off playing in Detroit or at the start of the season going to Grand Rapids? So we're watching all different types of, all different things to decide on the rate of progress collectively as our team. The progress I see is from last year to this year, and it's still relatively early. The progress I see is a much harder team to play against. Where defensively we're playing much better collectively. The guys are, we're not winning a lot of these games, but I go back to the last game. We won a 2-1 game, a tight game where, as that game went on, we didn't make a lot of mistakes to hurt our chances of winning that game. And we just hung around and eventually tied it up and scored a good goal in the third period and did a real good job after that and winning the game. So I see from last season to this season, I see progress in our younger players, regardless of their numbers, because I know some of their numbers are down. That's not a big a concern. I think all of these kids, the pucks are going to go in the net. I'll use Philip Zadina as an example. Like, I'm not worried. He knows how to score. He gets the puck in the slot. He knows what to do with it. Do all the other parts of the game really well. Continue to get better, and those things, the goals, the assists, they'll all come because that's the instinctive part. They know what to do. Don't even worry about it. So I'm watching them to see them develop into better overall hockey players. Learn to do the little things well that help you win games. It's not all goals and assists. So that's kind of how I watch their progress. So are we at the rate I expected? I don't really set a projection for it. I just kind of watch and assess as we move along, and every along the way you make decisions, whether it's trade deadline, who you're keeping, who you're moving or bringing in the summer, who you're re-signing at the start of the season, who's going to make the roster, who's not, and where they should play and whatnot. And so it's a long-winded answer to the question, but I don't have a set time frame because everything is up and down, and you just watch it over the course of time, see where everybody's at.
Coach, DEC member Ann wants to ask you about the impact of not having fans in the stands during the games. What type of an impact is that?
Well, it's not, listen, it's a better league and the games are better with a full arenas. That's the reality of it. We'd all love to have the arenas full. I think our those that are involved in our in-game entertainment have done a good job of in all our arenas and specifically our own here at Little Caesars of keeping the crowd, injecting some type of energy into the building, I should say, regardless of there not being a crowd. Where do you notice it difference? Momentum is still a factor in games. Momentum from goals still matters. You don't get the same push of momentum that you do with a full capacity crowd, where that push from momentum, whether it's you gaining the momentum or the other team, it's different that way for sure. Honestly, where I probably notice it the most is after the national anthem. To be honest with you, it's an eerie feeling at some moments like that. But once you're into the game, you're into the game. You don't really notice it a whole bunch, with the exception that it's certainly greatly enhanced when the building's full, and there's zero doubt about that. But I think given the parameters we have, I think everyone's done a pretty good job. I think the energy in the building is as good as it can be. And once you get playing, it's kind of just you're playing hockey.
Well, guys, I know we've got to let you go. You've got to prepare for a couple of games with the Predators. Good luck there. But a huge thank you to Steve, Coach, and Ken for spending time with the DEC today. We wish you guys all the best in the remainder of the season. We'll be watching, and we'll look forward to hosting you guys in person in 2022. So thanks to my team and for all of you for continuing to support the DEC. Your membership is really important to us. Have a strong week, stay safe, and we'll see you at an upcoming DEC event. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you.